So where are we going back to? You got any more questions there, matey?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Do you have any bug stories?
Any bug stories? Bugs. I mean, I don't like bugs. I tried.
A snake story.
I try to avoid them, Alan. Oh, the snake story. Well, I'm gonna appropriate this from someone who was there and told me this story. But he was touring with Alice Cooper in, goodness sakes, I want to say like maybe 87, somewhere in there, maybe before that. And they had two snakes for the show, and it was wintertime, and they had them on the bus, you know, so they wouldn't get cold. So they lose a snake, all right? They search the bus, and all they can come up with is like, well, the damn thing must have like snuck out the door at a bus stop or something, right? You know, truck stop, not bus stop, truck stop, you know, whatever, it's gone, right? So, I don't know, it's a day or two later, and they're going down the road, and the bus comes to a screeching halt. You know, this is at night after gigs, so everybody's sleeping. And the driver opens up the door and says, "Found your snake." So what had happened is the snake had gotten out, but it had gotten up into the dash of the bus because it's warm. It's a cold-blooded animal, right? So it's warm. All the wires, the heater, all that, right? Well, I guess it had like wrapped itself around the steering column or whatever. Boring story short, whether it was a bump or whatever, it decided to constrict. And when it did, it tore all the wires out and everything came to a screeching halt. So that's the lost snake story. Tom Mayhue, I apologize. I know that's your story. Sorry I stole it, but I'm at least giving you credit.
I asked about a snake story.
Yeah, it's fucking Alan's fault.
Yeah, that's right. How about a Megadeth story?
Well, let's see. What haven't I told yet? I haven't told the one about me and Gumby making sure we got through customs before the band back in '88. But there's nothing to really tell there. And, oh, I know what it was. So this goes back to '88. So the last show I did with him on that tour was the Monsters of Rock Festival in Donington, right? So this is what, the fall of '88. So we're gonna go do that, but we wanna do a couple of warm-up shows before that happens. So the warm-up show we did, the first one was at Santa Monica Civic Center, right? In Santa Monica, California. It's a little arena that's been there as long as I can remember. I did it before that with Soundgarden and Danzig. I think those are the only two times I've played that venue. So we do that show, or no, I did it after. We did, pardon me, chronologically, I'm backwards. Did it first with Megadeth, then with Soundgarden and Danzig. So we play the show, and I go to, I'm taking care of Nick's drums at the, or not Nick, I'm taking care of Chuck's drums at this time, and I'm also taking care of Jeff's guitars. So I go to like get a drum case, put the drums away, and there's a guy passed out behind the case, and I look down and I go, oh, damn, that looks a lot like Slash. I think that is Slash. Like, that's probably not a good place to sleep, mate. So whatever, I just continue on, right, doing my gig, and that's the last I saw of him or whatever, until many years later. So we do that gig, and then we go to New York, and we play one more gig at the old Ritz in New York, which was down at like, I don't know, what was it, fucking 2nd or 7th, 11th, I don't know, somewhere down there. It was down the island a bit. It wasn't into Alphabet City yet, but it was, I want to say, 2nd Street between 6th and 7th, or somehow 11th comes in, I don't know. So we play a show there, and then we've got to go and fly to London first, and I think we got on like a bus or whatever, and we headed up to wherever, Donington Raceway, wherever it is. I don't really know. I should pay more attention to my geography, I guess. Whatever. So we go to the airport, and I want to say we showed up in a goddamn yellow cab with shit hanging out of the back, but it feels like there's too much shit that we had that we couldn't do that. So it was probably a little truck. But at any rate, we show up at whatever airline it was. In my mind, it was TWA, but it might not have been. I could be wrong. It would have been, it was international, so it would have been Kennedy, okay? And we get out, and we've got a Dave Mustaine's like rack that is like, you know, for his guitar, right? So it's like, I don't know, this wide and this deep and this high. It's substantial. And then we have a small guitar trunk. But again, when I say small, it's of size, right? And I want to say we had one more case, but we at least had those two things, right? And the luggage guy, or whatever you used to call it then, the porter or whatever, comes over, and Gumby he opens his hand up. He's got $100 bills. He's like, you know, stop me, right? And I don't know where we got $500-600, and gave it to him. And he's like, here's the guy on the other end in London, right? And you're going to have to take care of him when you come home. All good. And that was our air freight to go do Monsters of Rock. Now, there's no way in hell you're going to do that today, right? But back then, that's what we did. It was just like, pay the guy off, it'll be on the plane. And sure enough, it was. It came off, it went back on, and it went back to Los Angeles that way. So there you go. So that's the one I was thinking of that I didn't tell. And then there's the other one that I think I talked to Dave about this in like 1990, but in '88 when we were playing Japan, I don't know why, and what show it was, but it was one of the shows. Dave is over in front of Jeff's guitar rig and like just either falls down to the stage or whatever, but he's laying on the stage in front of Jeff's rig. And like, I don't know if he can't get up. I'm assuming he couldn't, because I don't think he would have wanted to spend that much time in front of Jeff's rig on purpose. But at any rate, that was a rather entertaining or non-entertaining, however you want to take it, part of that show. But I feel like I talked to him on 90, and he was like, yeah, man, I couldn't get up. I didn't want to be there. I just couldn't get up. So whatever. That's how I remember it.
There was a story, and I can't remember if it's one you feel like sharing or not, but it was a Shirley story, and it had to do with you jumping into the crowd. There was two stories you told about jumping into the crowd, and I think this.
Oh, okay. Well, it was actually
bikers.
Well, there was the Cro-Mag story I told, right? When the guy was Harley was singing and playing bass, and this guy would crowd surf up, and he'd like kick Harley's mic stand, and he's eating a 58 in the teeth, which is no fun, right? And then that happened twice, and so when he came up again, I went and dove in after him, right? And which was a mistake, because like, you know, next thing you know, you're like, holy shit, I'm miles from the stage, and like, you know, him and his buddies are starting to, you know, because I'm like, fuck you, that's bullshit. So I'm hitting him, and he's hitting me back, and then his buddies, and like, I'm getting my ass pretty much beat. But the guy who saved me was Harley. Like, he dove in after me. So God bless. Thank you, Harley, if I haven't thanked you before. And then before that one, on Wendy O. Williams in the Plasmatic, well, it wasn't Plasmatics, I don't think they call it. I think it was just Wendy O. They called it WOW or Wendy O. I don't even think they called it the Plasmatics anymore. But it was Wendy O. Williams. So we're in, I want to say, Roanoke, Virginia. Maybe I'm wrong. But I want to say it was Virginia. We're playing this club, right? And back then, like, you know, Wendy was known for like putting the electrical tape over her nipples, and that was, you know, it, and a pair of bikini bottoms. But man, it was she went through a lot of bullshit. Like, there is a book out there on the early Wendy years that like she did, and her manager / business partner, I think it was Ron Swenson or whatever. But it's worth, if you can find it, it's worth getting if you're a fan, because it's like, it tells the whole story and everything. But at any rate, she was just doing like a bikini top and a bikini bottom. That's what she was performing in. So of course, you got somebody out there that's like, show your tits, what the fuck? And Wendy would stop and be like, hey, it's a free country. You got something to say? Come up on stage and say it, right? So this big fucking guy comes up, right? And Wendy's like, all right, so let's see your dick. The guy's like, what? Yeah, get your dick out. You know why? Because the guy's with the biggest mouth's got the smallest cock. So come on, let's see it. And he fucking hits Wendy. And I'm like, I'm up stage left. I'm like, fuck. And I come racing out. And before I can tackle him, Wendy's hit him, right? And I tackle him, and I'm into the crowd, and I go to swing on him, and somebody's got my arm, right? And I like look back, and it's this big motherfucking biker, and like, you know, oh, I'm like, oh shit, I am in trouble. So security, thank God, is there. Fucking saves my ass, right? So whatever, we finish the show, pack everything up, and I don't know if it was me or one of the other guys went out to get the truck. We're just in a little cube van, right? Rented from Studio Systems and Transport in Weehawken, New Jersey. And it's like dead. And you open the hood and all the fucking wires are gone and everything, right? So they got to the truck, right? Whatever, we get it fixed, we, you know, get going the next day, whatever, or we got another truck while it was fixed, or I can't remember, but we did the next gig, we kept going.
So were you scared these guys are gonna come after you at the hotel?
Well, I mean, we didn't know, right? I mean, you don't know what people are gonna do, right? But it was obviously like, yeah, these guys mean business, you know? In all my years, I never had my truck vandalized by somebody, right? And maybe that shit goes on now, but it hadn't, and it hasn't since, thank goodness. I mean, I'm not really involved in that much anymore because I get on a fucking tour bus and, you know, whatever. I don't have to worry about it. But in those days when I was driving the truck and doing backline and all that, that was the only time it's ever happened. So somehow, and again, this was all I heard after the fact, there were some people in New York City who took offense to that and they paid a visit to him. And I heard his bike got painted green. Now, I don't know what that means in biker culture, but that was the story I heard. So I'm going to leave it at that. It's been a long time, but, you know, some of that shit never goes away. So there you go. So what else we got?